My boyfriend looked up spoilers to our favorite video game, so I did too. Interesting take on petty revenge? Let's hear it. My boyfriend and I play Zelda Breath of the Wild together. Ooh, a couple of culture I see. I am a take your time and enjoy the ride kind of gal, while he's a let's look up now how to beat this game right away kind of guy. Because his way ruins all the fun, we came up with a rule. No looking up spoilers. We were looking for a particular challenge, the 8 Heroines Statue Quest. For a very long time, suddenly my boyfriend said, I did something bad. I looked up where to go. I'm so sorry, I just couldn't take it anymore. I told him it was fine, but that he could not tell me what he had seen, and he agreed. I'm not seeing a reason to take revenge here, but he goes on. I then excused myself to the bathroom and looked up the location as well. I then spent the next hour and a half wandering so close to the location without ever making it there, I could see him squirming around in his seat every time I got close. When I jumped off the cliff the statue was built into, gliding down the base of the statue and continuing on without turning around to look at it, I thought he was going to explode. He was clenching his hair in both fists and biting his lower lip trying to contain himself. Then I caved and told him what I had done. He thought it was hilarious. Interesting turn of events there. He thought it was hilarious and told me how he wanted more than anything to yell, "Turn around, what are you doing?" because he'd looked up the spoiler ahead of time. We had a good laugh about it. He hasn't looked up a spoiler since. The thing is, they're both doing it wrong. You're supposed to look up the location ahead of time and then get distracted going there and spend an hour before you even make it to the spot. I made a dude get his nuts waxed on the first date after he lied to me. Geez, what lie was so bad she made him wax his nuts? When I was in my early 20s and online dating was just starting, I made a profile and said I was not going to be into two things, smokers and people with kids. Just that. You could be anything else, and if the chemistry was there, we were all good. Oh yeah, so she's about my age. Back in the Stone Ages, when online dating first started, kids were definitely a deal breaker for almost everyone. I meet this guy early in the morning for a breakfast date, and we're hitting it off averagely. No sparks, but no red flags. The date goes on for 2.5 hours, breakfast is taking forever, until we are splitting the bill and he tells me that he has a kid. I ask him if he read my profile to know that I was not interested in that, and he says, yes, I read that, but knew that if you just spent some time with me, you'd get to see how great I am and you'd be willing to look past that. She's not going to look past it. I was floored as now he wasted 3 hours of my life and was okay with being a liar. That was unacceptable. I said, well, I don't want this date to end, but I have to go across town to get my Brazilian, where they take off all the hair, including the bumhole. Want to come with me and get one too? It's not that painful, which was a total lie, and I think it's attractive on men to be clean there. No pressure, but I'm pretty busy the rest of the week and this is my only free day. He was all about following me anywhere. I told the ladies that this was his first time and that they should take everything, including the butt. He held my hand between a curtain and we both got them done at the same time. He screamed a lot, but was a champ and went through with it. I made him pay for his own and never called him again. If you are out there, Chris, please don't lie to women on the first date. It's a really bad way to start a relationship. Chris really thought he was going to smash. Instead of being left with blue balls, he got left with red ones instead, though. How I gutted my HOA. This is the story of how I completely changed out my community's HOA board and foreclosed on one of their houses after they disrespected me. TLDR, I got fined for ridiculous things by my HOA and got ticked off and decided to get on the board. I then spent all year removing all the members of the board I joined and replacing them with people that were pro-small HOA. I have since helped reduce policies and tried to make community better for everyone. Backstory kinda seems unimportant at this point. Husband's mistress was rude to me, so I ruined her favorite thing twice. Wait, you got petty revenge because he was rude, not because of the affair. Alright, that's already more important or interesting than the HOA. A few years ago, I found out my now ex-husband was having multiple affairs. I contacted the women in an attempt to figure out what was going on, timelines, etc. Most of the women were lovely, and I held no contempt or anger for them. They were victims of lies and deception too. But one woman took a different approach. She was rude and abusive, accusing me of being controlling, frigid, fat. I'm only one of those things, it's not frigid, etc. I'm going to put my money on her being fat. Unfortunately, she was in Ireland and we were in Australia, so no chance to confront her. I tried to just move on and deal with my real problems, but I couldn't shake the audacity, so I looked up her socials. She was hard out obsessed with Australian MasterChef. Obsessed. Being a fan myself, I knew that the show was aired and concluded in Aussie before it was shown in Ireland. So I screenshotted the winning dish and mentioned her in a tweet containing the details of the winner and the runner-up and the winning dish photo. Then I set my alarm on my phone and did the exact same thing 1 year later. After the second spoiler, she put her Twitter account on private. I don't know why, but that's my favorite petty revenge so far. Just the pettiness and the silliness of it being like a silly game show contestant winner. Faked proof that I had a flat tire so the lazy people in my group project would have to do the presentation themselves, therefore likely will fail. I'm hoping this wasn't an English project. I'm in a class where a group project / presentation has a huge chunk of the overall points. Everyone knows in group projects you always have that one slacker who doesn't do anything that you have to compensate for. Yeah, true. However, I got stuck with possibly the worst 3 people to be in a project with in the class. I did the entirety of the research, presentation, poster boards, etc., among many other annoying things all by myself. I tried talking to them and telling them they needed to put in their share of the effort. I got ignored. I'd send them tasks to do, I'd get ignored. I tried to schedule meetings, they'd say they were coming and then they'd leave me alone at the library. This happened from the get-go. It was abundantly clear that they expected everyone else to do the work, but everyone else turned out to just be me. Rule: we couldn't have things 100% memorized word for word, and we couldn't read off of anything. We actually had to know the subject. So that's called memorization. I was fully prepared to do most of the talking and even wrote down a small script for them and told them how and what to say during their parts at the very least. The night before I told them we had to meet to at least go over the whole thing one time. Once again, none of them showed. I swear I'm having like flashbacks to my own college days here. At this point, I'm livid and decide they can just do it themselves, which means they'd get up there, not know a thing, say nothing other than the small info I gave them, and wouldn't even be able to BS their way through it because they didn't do any research. Thing is, if we miss out with an excuse, we fail the project. If you have an excuse, you have to have the documentation. I commute and live an hour away, so I decided that I'll conveniently have a flat tire right before class. Went out and actually bought a tire so I could have the receipt to prove it. Emailed the professor who said I can present by myself during his office hours. Turns out, they completely bombed and not only probably failed the project, but since they're bad students, might even make them fail the class. And it sounds like someone just learned the value of the group projects. How to either A, swoop in at the last minute and take all the credit, or B, bust roll everyone if you do have to do all the work. Well played.